And so, here I am, with degrees in plant breeding and genetics, tree breeding and forest genetics. So the presentation goes this way. Incidentally, the governor has already put out the framework of our presentation. So thanks, governor, for putting all the skeleton together. We're going to try to fill in the flesh so that this becomes a whole good animal. And I'm also going to skip some of these things because of time and the fact that the governor has already mentioned many of these problems. And I've also listened to all the discussions, all of which they center around natural resources and the need to diversify the state economy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move quickly to two areas or some suggestions that I have, Governor, that will take from here. So, here are some of the suggestions I'm trying to make. The development of agroecological zones for the state. And I have identified 5 agroecological zones. These agroecological zones will then be tied to what I call agro-industrial parks. So while the state is developing Warri into an industrial/business park, there are also going to be areas related to these agroecological zones. Many of the crops mentioned can be produced anywhere in the state. However, there are some parts of the state, for example, if you're looking for some good yam, where do you go to buy yam? You go to the Ika area of the state, right? So what I'm suggesting, and if you're looking to get cassava, you come to areas where cassava is most widely grown. And I'll give you an example of the work we did with USAID in Cameroon, focusing on cocoyams. So the first, I thought I had a Okay, the first agroecological zone is what I call the coastal area stretching from Focados and related areas of to Bomadi. This area we will refer to as the agroecological zones for fisheries and fish production, and will be mostly dealing mostly with fish and fish products, including aquaculture. There's plenty of swamp areas here, so we can also grow swamp rice. So we need to stop importing the rice that comes in. The second agroecological zone is the area on the border of the Edo State and stretching all the way to the south to Bayelsa State border. This area are called the timber and timber products. How many of us here still remember ATMP? Okay. So that zone, and I'm going to show that in the map I scribbled down last night. And then of course you have minor products in this area for sugarcane production and freshwater fisheries for aquaculture. Agroecological zone 3 is the area north on from the Edo State border to southeast to Imo State border. This area will be the fruit crops area, where you can grow citrus, plantains, and bananas, and eventually begin to produce plantain chips and banana chips, not only for the domestic market, but for the international market. The fourth agroecological zone is the area for root and tuber cross production, mostly cassava and yams. Then we will have minor activities for rubber and oil palm. And our fifth agroecological zone is the area that is around the governor there in the Asaba area. The major production here will be maize and soybean. Please note, as I stated earlier, any one of these crop species can be produced anywhere in the state. However, some areas are more advantageous for producing those crops. Okay, here's a map I scribbled last night, so I haven't done the graphics on this. But here are the agroecological zones that I have put together. Zone 1, of course, is the fisheries area. Zone 2 is the timber and timber product. Also, we'll have palm oil and rubber production. How many of us still remember Cowan Estate, where oil was processed using materials from NIFO and the old palm oil? So then, of course, we have agroecological zone 3 and, of course, 4 and 5, with the major crops to be produced in those areas clearly identified. Germplasm collection. Let me go back to this map and tell you a few things before I. Okay, in order to do this, to do work in these agroecological zones, you need what we call germplasm. This germplasm is the total genetic material available for each crop and each plant species. I will not focus on biotechnology or doing many of these. That will be another topic for discussion. So, I already defined germplasm. Oil palm, local, that means we can go through all the villages collecting whatever oil palm material is available. How many of us know the country known as Malaysia? I guess everybody knows that. How many of us know how they became the world's palm oil producer? Many of us may not know. But I was there at the Rubber Research Institute of Nigeria as a pupil research officer with my friends at NIFO when the Malaysians showed up and picked up some of the best genetic material. And today what's happened? That's a question for you to answer. So, natural rubber. We have old rubber estates that have rubber materials from which we can get planting materials. There is also the Rubber Research Institute of Nigeria with a substation in Eweta. Governor, I think we need to get a substation somewhere in Delta State. Rubber Research Institute of Nigeria is located at Iyanomo. It's a federal rubber research institute. Its major substation is in Eweta in Imo State. I believe we need to get a substation somewhere in the Delta because palm oil used to be there. We can collect germplasm material. Yours truly was one of those who tested the first clones from pollinations of rubber trees. Many of you don't know that you can pollinate rubber trees. We sure do. So those first clones that were evaluated, which are now in production in some of the estates, we did those at Rubber Research Institute. Root and tuber crops can be obtained locally from the Root Crops Research Institute of Nigeria and IITA. IITA has a whole series of lines of cassava, including those dealing with cassava mosaic disease, as well as the cassava mealybug. Then, of course, fruits. You can get many of the citruses, oranges, tangerines, and so from the various areas which can be used to set up in agroecological zone 4, I believe. Then, of course, plantains and bananas. I'm a native of Ovrode in Isoko local government. That's Isoko North. One of my village tradition is growing plantains. And there is plenty of germplasm material available in all this area. And I'm going to mention a point here soon, Governor. In the meantime, IITA has a substation in Port Harcourt where they evaluate a lot of the banana and plantain for diseases of these crop species. We have a unique opportunity to move some of those into agroecological zone 2.